Howdy, y'all. Welcome back. All right. Today I'm out at a friend's property in northern Washington, and it's a beautiful homestead. But fair warning, you may hear a few roosters, maybe some chickens, dogs. It's all good. We're gonna roll with it. Today we're gonna talk about some regrets that I have around my rig and some things I would have done differently. I've been in the Overland camper for about 3.5 months now, and during the course of that time, I've uncovered some chronic annoyances and even had a gear failure. So today we're going to talk about those things, and I'm going to share some solutions that I've come up with. All right, let's talk gear failure first. This one's a bummer. But my first gear failure in the truck camper was actually the EHME refrigerator. And that's a huge bummer because I know so many of you guys commented on that and you've had great experiences with it. And your confidence gave me confidence, and I was pretty excited about that refrigerator. But long story short, it started throwing an F1 code about a week ago, and from my research, the F1 code means that it's not receiving enough voltage or proper voltage or something like that. And I know it's not my battery system because everything else in the camper is working wonderful. So I went into troubleshooting mode and I tried to replace the outlet, the 12-volt outlet for the fridge. I replaced the cable that was running from the outlet to the fridge. I even tried plugging it into a 110 outlet at my friend's house and turned it off for 24 hours just to try to give it that hard reset. Nothing seemed to work. The fridge would come on and the compressor would spool up for a little while, but eventually it would throw the F1 code again, and then it wasn't regulating temperature at all. So when you're living on the road and you're eating out of that cooler constantly, failure like that can mean spoiling like a week's worth of food, and I just simply can't have anything like that because it would cost me too much money to be worried about all the time. So the silver lining here is that EHME's customer service has been great. Right now I'm working with them to get a refund. And a friend is even letting me borrow his cooler right now just to use in the meantime while I shop around for another refrigerator. I haven't decided which one I'm going to go with yet, but I can tell you I'm going to go with something a little higher quality. And once I decide on what that is, I will let you guys know. Moving on to minor annoyances, up first is the solar panel. As you guys know, I've been using the EcoFlow portable 160 solar panel, and it's been pretty good so far, but I've actually noticed some degradation of the panel itself. Now granted, I am using this thing every day, multiple times a day, folding it up, unfolding it, putting it down in the dirt, so I'm kind of hard on it, but it has started to delaminate around the edges of where it folds. And when I first got it, I was able to pull in around 8 amps in direct sunlight, and now I can't seem to get more than 5 to 6, and I don't know if that has anything to do with the delamination or not, but either way, it's not great considering how much that panel cost. Number two is I feel like I'm missing out on far too much passive solar opportunity while driving or while the truck is parked in a parking lot. And my solution to all of this is this weekend I'm going to be installing 200 watts of roof mounted solar, and I'm going to be documenting that process as well, so make sure to keep an eye out for that video process. Should be pretty interesting. Up next is the heater. Now I want to be clear, I absolutely love my planar heater, but hindsight 2020, I would have mounted it permanently. Initially, I thought I wasn't going to need the heater during the warmer months, and so I thought I would maybe leave it in storage or something like that. But I've been at high elevation enough to still appreciate it during the summertime in the mornings and even on cold evenings. So I've kept it in the truck the full time. And moving it in and out constantly is a little bit annoying. and I think just having it permanently mounted makes more sense. My solution to this is probably something that won't happen until maybe a year or so down the road, but I want to put a Rotopax on the side of the truck for diesel, and then somehow get the fuel pump plumbed in to the camper and the exhaust and the air intake through the bed. So I got to noodle on that one a little bit more, but as I start to figure it out, I'll let you guys know, and hopefully by next year I have a permanently mounted diesel heater. Next is propane. I'm honestly just feeling a little guilty about the amount of green canisters that I use, but I don't necessarily want to keep a refillable small tank in the truck, just for the obvious reasons of carbon monoxide, off-gassing, all of those things. So the solution that I have thought about for that is perhaps doing a replacement bumper with a swing out option that has some mounting points for a propane tank, and maybe a small fold down table or something like that, just to create more counter space. Now this last one, it surprised me. It's actually the entryway to the camper. Unlocking and opening 3 doors every time that I want to get in there has become a pain in the butt. And I'm not gonna lie, my knees are also raw from getting in and out of the camper so many times. I don't think this would be an issue if I weren't living in it full time, but as someone who's using it as often as I am, it's kind of a pain. Hindsight, I would have done the full length barn doors, even though it would have meant giving up my tailgate, which would have been a bummer, but I think having the comfort of getting in and out of the rig all the time would make up for it. In an ideal world, we would have a single doorway with a deadbolt, and maybe even a screen door behind that, just to keep the bugs out. That's something I've seen on a lot of the slide-in campers, like the 4-wheel camper, or even the new Scout pop-up. That one has a really cool door on it, and I have been paying attention to that camper. It looks pretty rad. So yeah, interested in that one, but based on design mostly. But yeah, if Overland Camper offered a single doorway with those specs, man, I would get it in a heartbeat. But yeah, not sure how I'm gonna figure that one out yet. If you guys have any ideas, drop them in the comment section. I would love to hear them. So yeah, other than that, the camper has been wonderful. And I do want to make one thing blatantly clear, is that for me, none of these things are deal breakers. I've been extremely happy with this camper in all other aspects, and naturally I find myself daydreaming about a bigger rig, a more comfortable rig, things like that. But then I just try to remind myself why I'm doing this in the first place. And for me, those reasons are to keep overhead low so that I can afford to spend more time outside doing the things that I love to do. And so that looks like working with what you already have and making minor changes, as opposed to, you know, getting into a massive amount of debt to have a new rig. I think of it a lot like backing up a trailer, right? You're making micro movements with the wheel and not whipping it one way or the other, because that causes a jackknife, and we don't want a jackknife. And through that process, I've started to understand a lot more what I need versus what I want in order to make this a more sustainable life for myself. So yeah, it's been a ton of fun, and as always, I encourage you guys, make it work with what you got. Try to figure it out. I think it's more rewarding that way anyhow. So as always, if you liked it, like it. And if you really liked it, come along for the ride. A lot more videos headed your way. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time.